Welcome back. Are the costs of car insurance changing your car or confusing sales tactics driving you around the bend? See what we did there?
Oh, clever. Well, help is at hand in the form of consumer expert Siobhan Maguire, who's here to steer you towards the steps you can take to avoid motoring price bumps. Good morning to you, Siobhan.
Good morning.
Hi, Siobhan.
I love
How
a good car pun. That's
Yes,
brilliant.
we're all over the car puns this morning.
I'll never get tired of them.
Well, we talk about the car insurance first of all, and allow Ian Noctor here have his car insurance rant. And he's not on his own, I know that.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
just infuriating, the whole car insurance increase, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, this month alone has been really significant in terms of the regulatory side of things, because we've had the European Commission step in and say, Ireland, we're not happy with the way motoring insurance companies are operating. There was a raid on several companies earlier this month, and in a very strongly worded statement, the European Commission said that they were, the companies involved may have engaged in anti-competitive practices that are in breach of EU antitrust rules that prohibit cartels, restrictive business practices and/or abuse of a dominant market position. Essentially, they're trying to determine if there is some kind of cartel in operation in Ireland. Because
this is really serious stuff, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. And this investigation is in conjunction with the Irish Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. So there's like two bodies involved in this now. So this is serious stuff. For the consumer who drives a car, they're probably going, well, about time. Thank goodness somebody is looking into this, because people at home have been seeing their premiums increase year on year on year. With little explanation, the insurance companies will say, well, look, you know, fraud is massive. It applies €50 per premium for every customer. You know, we have a compo culture in Ireland. We have ambulance chasing lawyers. Oh, it's all such a mess. And that's why we have to keep putting premiums
Driving up the price.
Exactly.
Right, Ian, go on.
Yeah, you put a big question mark over a lot of that. My own personal experience, and I mentioned in the show last week, was I got a quote from my insurance company, who've been with for 5 or 6 years, and that was probably my mistake as well. For €1,419, I rang them up and said, guys, this is absolutely bonkers. You were charging me €390 3 or 4 years ago. So, if you do it online, you'll get 10% off, whatever. So I actually went and did what you would always advise, Siobhan. I rang around and I managed to get it for €752. So from 1,419 down to 752, all for a little search online.
A few phone calls.
So shop around, I suppose, is the advice.
Absolutely, that's the key. And it's quite interesting. In January of this year, the Central Statistics Office published figures that showed that car insurance premiums have jumped 51% in the last 3 years. When we discussed this on the show in April of last year with yourself, Anna, and Ivan, we found that €300 was the kind of average annual bump for consumers for the family car insurance. So things have been going up and up now. The CSO did say that in June this came down slightly by 0.5%.
But off a very high level.
So nobody is feeling that impact in the price of insurance.
Just on your decrease, your final figure, which is half the price of the starting out point.
Exactly.
Did your original insurance company, did you go back to them to see if they'd match it?
I certainly did, and I rang them up and said, look, here's what quote I've got. Will you match it? No.
Loyalty is not rewarded.
Nope.
Whether it's your TV supplier, your electricity provider, you get nothing for being a loyal customer. They'll try and swoon you with all these rewards clubs issues or whatever. And it doesn't matter if you see any big deals on the TV relating to any service providers of anything. The small print will always say does not apply to existing customers, so forget about it. You need to shop around. You need to get on to consumer companies, and then you need to haggle. Your existing company may well be the best option for you if you've got pet insurance, contents insurance, home insurance with them. Then little discounts can be applied to your insurance premium. But don't feel any loyalty because you've been with X
and go and
for
use
the last 5 years.
And use the switcher services. They're brilliant. Let's talk about car financing, and particularly PCPs have become hugely popular. Basically, you pony up a certain amount as a deposit, and then your regular monthly payments. And they're good when you're doing them, but I suppose the problem emerges when you come to the end of your
Well, that's
your
it, exactly, yeah. So PCPs are personal contract plans.
Mm.
They're this new kind of fancy, up-to-date version of hire purchase agreements, essentially. So you go in with your 10 to 30% deposit on a new car. Primarily, these are applied to new cars. Each dealership will have their own kind of finance package because it's not regulated by central bank.
Yeah.
So that in itself is a little bit of a grey area that needs to be flagged. Actually, I should say that it is being flagged now because the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission have now launched their own investigation into PCPs, just basically to see whether consumers understand the terms and conditions and what they're getting into. So what you have when you get a car on a PCP, you have a guaranteed minimum future value, and that's what the car will be worth to the dealership when you trade it in or bring it back in 3 years' time.
So essentially you're financing the difference between the new cost of the car and what it'll be worth in 3 years' time.
The trade-in price.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. So you have options. You can either buy the car outright. Will you have the 10, 15 grand? That's the second-hand value according to the dealership to buy. You can hand the keys back and walk away. You walk away from debt, but you also walk away from equity. Or you can just jump to a new PCP plan, get a new car, which is exactly what the motor industry car dealerships want you to do because you are on a little hamster wheel of buying a car, buying a car, buying a car with them.
Tell us, Siobhan, some tips on buying then second-hand cars.
Yeah, OK. I mean, there's... You've really got to have your thinking cap on if you're buying or selling a second-hand car. If you're buying from a private dealer, you need to be sure that all paperwork is up to date, that you're able to get a mechanic to check the car over. You don't want to be buying something and then driving away and finding out that there was a serious issue under the bonnet. And then you also need to just be aware of scams if you're selling. There's the European Consumer Centre, ecc.ie, is a brilliant resource for kind of highlighting consumer problems in this area. And they have flagged one particular scam where a company will see a private dealer selling a car. They will, people posing as a company, I should say, they will then contact you and say, I'll sell the car for you. In fact, I've got 2-3 buyers who want exactly the kind of model you're selling and the year of it. And, you know, would you believe, you know, we're going to have people queuing up to buy it. Just give us a little deposit to cover our costs. You pay it. They go away, you never hear from them again.
The other thing, just to mention very briefly, is the car checking services. I mean, I was reading in the paper this morning that apparently 1 in 3 cars that are being sold second-hand have outstanding finance on them. And if you use something like Cartel or one of these services, you can check to see
if there's any remaining finance.
They're excellent. They do a kind of traffic system regulatory thing, you know, where if something is a real problem and stay away from it, you get the red light. You know, it's simple but effective advice.
Well, thanks a million for coming in this
Thank you,
morning.
Siobhan. There's never enough time. But thank you.